Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the third Spring 2024 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you yet more spring data, and we're up to update number 3, which should have been released last weekend, but I was a little bit poorly last weekend and didn't get round to recording it, so it's kind of like rolled over to this week. So it's going to be a QBO special. We're going to be looking at springs with mature and strong easterly QBOs, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video of this day was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we're going to be live at 6 PM with the 10 to 14 day. So we'll have our 10 to 14 day live stream. Will include ensembles watch probably, as well as some long range as well. So it could be an epic live stream, and that'll be coming up at 6 PM. Been a long time since we did a live stream, isn't it? So that is still to come. I shall see you a little bit later on for that one, hopefully. Thank you, Shona Richard, for our amazing spring updates gift from the little bundles of fluffy replacements. I've got news about Fluffy, actually, more about that in a second, but thank you, Shona Richard, for our amazing spring updates gift. We're gonna name the bunnies, I think, next week. So get your thinking caps on, and next week you can post all of your suggestions for our bunny names, and we'll put those onto the name picker, and we'll name a little bundles of fluff there. Thank you so much to Richard for our incredible spring updates gift. Thank you to Shryan as well. Shryan Broom for getting all of the years together. Hashtag Team Gav, working away as always for us. Incredible, amazing. Thank you so much. Right, well, Fluffy news. Now, you know that we fired Fluffy, so we had exhaustive negotiations starting at the end of last year's spring updates, going all the way through towards the end of 2023, but it looked like we were going to sign it. You know, got all the contract ready to go, but at the last minute, Fluffy tried to put in a clause saying that she wanted top billing and thus top earnings, you know, trying to boost the revenue. And at that point, I pulled the plug and said no. So Fluffy went back to LA. And that's the last that I've heard of her. However, there are loads of rumours and innuendo going around. So what we've heard is that when Fluffy got back to LA, she'd been put out of her apartment. So Fluffy has got financial problems, which is why she's trying to boost the revenue from me and from GavsWeatherVids. So she got back to LA. All of her stuff was on the pavement or the sidewalk, whatever they call it in America, and she was out. She's also in debt, we've heard, to the mob, so she's on the run. Now, there have been various sightings around the US of Fluffy, but we have got a definitive sighting. Rich got this for us, so check this out. Check that out. Apparently she's on a farm in Iowa, hiding out with cows and sheep. Is that her? Is that Fluffy? I think so. I think that's her. Anyway, we're not 100% certain if that is her or not, but we think it is. It is the best lead we've had so far. So it appears that she's hiding out from the mob on a farm in Iowa at the moment, and she's hiding out with cows and sheep and whatnot. But we'll keep you updated. There are a couple of other leads, though, that we've got. There's a few other rumours that are doing the rounds about her. Somebody said that she might be down in Mexico, actually. She might have gone to Mexico. So I don't know, but we think that's her anyway. It can be very difficult to tell these bunnies apart, can't it? But we think that's her, and what a fall from grace, isn't it? What a fall from grace. It just goes to show you, if you get too big for your boots, you know. I warned her, I said, Fluff, I'm so sorry, but you're getting too big for your boots. And I can't put up with it. Oh, I told her, but she didn't listen, and yeah, so so whether she's in Iowa, whether she's in Mexico, I don't know. But if we hear any more, we'll keep you updated, and yeah, so that's the latest anyway. That's the latest fluffy news. Right, okay, well that's brought you up to date. Bit of gossip, wasn't it? Da-da-da. Bit of news. Right, okay, let's get down to business then. So, we're going to look at the QBO for this first spring update. Oh, of course, this is from NASA. You know this chart, familiar with this, I'm sure. These are levels of the atmosphere just here. We've got 10 HPA, which is the stratospheric level, and then we've got 30 to 50 HPA, which is the tropospheric level. It's all a bit of a letdown now, isn't it, after all of that? This blue-green area here, what am I doing with that? This blue-green area here is the latest phase of the easterly QBO, the easterly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation, descending from the stratosphere and going all the way down into the troposphere. Now up here we've actually got the next westerly QBO phase, which is lurking at the very top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere, but at the moment having no impact. Eventually that westerly QBO phase will descend, and by next winter 2024-25 we will be in the westerly QBO probably, but for the time being we don't need to worry about that. For the time being the easterly QBO continues, and this spring is likely to be a strong and mature easterly QBO spring. Very straightforward. It will neither be, you know, waxing or waning. It should just be a straightforwardly strong, mature easterly QBO. So we're going to be looking at springs that have a strong, mature easterly QBO phase. Very simple. Thank you to Shryan for getting all of these years together for us. So we're going to start off with 1963. The spring of 1963 did indeed have a mature easterly QBO, and that's an unsettled spring as well, with below average heights coming in off the Atlantic. So after the big freeze, of course, after the daddy of cold winters of 62, 63, the spring was much milder, but also rather unsettled and wetter as well. We then got the spring of 1977. This one also quite unsettled spring with below average heights, low pressure across the north and the west of Europe. A little bit of blocking up north as well, so there's a bit of cold snap potential maybe with that particular spring in 1977. Otherwise unsettled. We've got the spring of 1982, which is another mature easterly QBO spring with high pressure down to our west and southwest. Low pressure is away to the northwest, and winds are coming in from off the Atlantic a little bit like that. So largely on the mild side with this spring. It's a westerly spring. Of course, spring is the most easterly of season, but actually it looks like this spring has a lot of westerly winds and is relatively mild as well. We've got the spring of 1984. Now, this is much more of an easterly spring with high pressure away to our north and also to our northeast as well. Low pressure is down to the south, and winds again tend to come in from an easterly direction. So that's quite a warmish spring, I think, but also a lot of easterly winds and wettest weather is in the south. Then we've got a spring of 1987. So this one we're blocking to the west and also to the north. Low pressure is over on the eastern side of Europe. So very cold March in 1987. And then a warm April, so quite a strange spring, that one. And then we've got a spring of 1992, which is another mature and strong easterly QBO spring with low pressure away towards Greenland, Iceland. High pressure is out to the west and to the southwest, and winds are coming in from off the Atlantic a little bit like that. So again, a lot of westerly winds with that spring. Has a very warm May in 1992. Has a pronounced early summer in May and June, and May gets progressively more unsettled. So very front loaded with the summer in 1992. Quite a long gap then to 2001. So this is quite a cool wet spring with lots of low pressure off the Atlantic and in across northwest Europe, has some blocking up towards Greenland as well. Has quite a cold and wet March. There is some snow during March 2001. April 2001 is also a very wet and quite cold month with, again, some snow, especially in the earlier part of the month. I think it has a much warmer May in 2001, but still rather unsettled. Another pretty long gap then to 2010. Now, this one is following a cold winter. So when you have a properly cold winter with lots and lots of blocking, very often that pattern does go on into the spring. This is a very good example of that we have in 2010. So you see a strong blocking signal up towards Greenland with the below average heights to our east and south, and winds again coming in from that northeasterly direction. So quite a cold spring, and especially so earlier on through the early part of spring, March and into April has quite a few cold snaps, and there is even a little bit of snow, I think, through the early part of spring 2010 as well. Then we got the spring of 2012. Now, this is one of those years that doesn't tell you a great deal in terms of the analogues. So overall, we get above average height centre through the North Atlantic and into West Europe, which you look at and think it's probably a settled spring, and it is mostly, but there is a very unsettled month, which is April. So in March of 2012, there's lots of dry weather, and it's often quite warm as well, very mild anyway. And there's actually a bit of a drought really through March 2012. It all flips around into April. We have a very wet, exceptionally wet, and a cold April as well, even with some snow for the earlier part of the month. And then it gets much warmer as we go into May, and we actually have summer in May in 2012, because actual meteorological summer 2012 is a washout, but we do get some quite hot weather at times through particularly the second half of May 2012. We've got 2015 as our next strong, mature easterly QBO spring. This one very westerly, high pressure down towards Spain, France, low pressure in the Atlantic, so often bringing the wind from the west. And then we also have the spring of 2018. This, of course, follows the beast from the east at the end of February and into March 2018. So overall, what am I doing about? Overall, we have low pressure centred out to our west with this spring, high pressure towards Scandinavia. So it has a very cold start to the spring. People forget that the first day of March, first day of meteorological spring, was in fact the coldest March and spring day on record. And there's more cold weather as we go through March 2018, which was quite a cold and wintry month. But then it gets much, much warmer through April and May of 2018, starting to set up the pattern of the long, hot summer of 2018, actually. But it is unsettled. There is still quite a bit of rain through particularly April, I think, of 2018. And then the final strong, mature easterly QBO spring is 2022. This one with high pressure to our northeast. So just as warm, mainly dry, anticyclonic spring in 2022 there. Right, so let's start putting all of that together then. This is how all March combined are looking when we have a strong easterly QBO. So we do see a bit of a blocking signal actually there with high pressure away to the north. However, with the low pressure just here, a lot of these times, these marches are going to be relatively mild, but quite unsettled. However, there is a bit of cold potential. If the blocking is strong enough, the wind could get into the east there. Bear in mind, there will be exceptions to this. So we know we've got 2012, which is actually a very, very dry March, for example. Right, so April's combined are looking, again, quite unsettled for the Aprils, with the below average heights to our north and also over to the east country. Some bridge in the Atlantic and probably sailing the jet stream on a northwest-southeast alignment. So there could be a little bit of cold snap potential with those Aprils as well. I think more so, actually, with the Aprils than the Marches. Both are unsettled, but I think the Aprils there have a greater cold snap potential. However, things pick up a lot for the Mays. So all Mays combined with an easterly QBO tends to favour high pressure taking over from the Atlantic into northern Europe. Low pressure tends to sink down into southern Europe, and that would bring in a lot of east winds. So of course, May is the most easterly of the months through the years and through the year, and we see that very, very nicely there. So a warm and dry May is favoured after an unsettled March and April. And then finally, this is how all springs combined are looking with an easterly QBO. So overall, below average heights across the west of Europe. So an unsettled signal overall for those springs with higher pressure up towards Scandinavia. Keep in mind that is primarily down to March and April, and May is much more favoured to be anticyclonic there. Okay, we're done. So that is the delayed third spring update. Finally got that in the can and brought you fluffy news. And I can bring you one other final little bit of news. So I can tell you about the, you should have done this at the start, shouldn't you, Gab? Yes, I should. I can tell you about the spring 2024 forecast from GavsWeatherVids is going to be released on Sunday, the 25th of February. 25th of February will be the day that we release our spring forecast. So, you know, not got all that long to wait. It's always a shorter season of updates that we do for spring as we take December off. And yeah, so it won't be long for it. Business end of these spring updates. But anyway, there we go. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll be back with your full spring update next Sunday, same time, same place. Maybe, who knows? We might even have a little bit more fluffy news. We'll have to wait and see if there's any more sightings of her. Anyway, we're going to be back a little bit later on, live streaming at 6 p.m. So we're going to combine our 10 to 14 dayer with Ensembles Watch, I think, in that live stream. So that's going to be epic. That will be coming up for you at 6 p.m. First time doing a live stream for a little while, so it'd be nice to check in and see you all. I should see a little bit later on for that. Thank you so much, Richard, for, you know, narrowing down the fluffy sightings and bringing us that information, vital information as it was. And also thanks to Richard for our spring updates gift. Make sure to Shrine as well to get emojis together for us. And we'll end it there. So thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you a little bit later on for our live stream. But for the third spring 2024 update, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.